Go ahead, Wash.
Matt, obviously the two big guys had a great game, but Bridges had 33 the last time, and he got some late, but you were up like 18 when you started scoring. What was the difference this time, and how big a factor, in your opinion, was holding him down?
Well, I think he got it at their place in a lot of different ways. We wanted to do a better job of him, not shooting threes, and obviously he hits 4 threes. But we also wanted to try not to let him get the ball in the post and just try to corral him a little bit. But it's hard to do when, you got guys like Michigan State that can shoot the basketball. It's hard to, give help and stop their perimeter shooters. So it's just, total team effort. I thought, Vince did a good job, while he was on him. And just trying to be there on the catch. I think he also had a couple that, that he made at their place. But just only having 9 attempts, I think that kind of shows a good team effort, in guarding him. He's a great player. He's a very, very talented guy, and he's productive. And anytime you're that big, strong, athletic, and skilled, it's a tough matchup.
I understand you always want to get the ball inside, but against this particular opponent, given their situation on the inside, obviously they're down a couple guys all season long.
Right.
Just how important has it been just to kind of twist that knife on them?
Right.
They get in foul trouble or whatever else.
Well, I think it comes down to us is the decision making. Swanigan, you look at his gaudy numbers, but the best one is the 1 turnover. When he's getting the ball a lot and he's not turning it over, good things are going to happen, for us. But no, we want to, get the ball inside, against anybody. But if, the way people play post defense when they're not in foul trouble versus when they are in foul trouble, it can always be in 2 different things. And you're at home. You get a little bit better whistle when you're at home sometimes in post play.
Matt, is your team playing its best basketball this season right now?
Well, I think we're winning some kind of grinded out type games. I think that's a good thing for our team. And we're not shooting the ball particularly well. I think if you look at our percentage, we shoot 51%, but then we're 33% from 3. And we haven't shot the ball well from 3 in the last 3 games. And so we haven't shot it as well. And I think that's a good thing for us because we've had some really good game shooting, and we've lost those games. And so we can't have the mentality to outscore people, even though it's a good problem to have at times when you go against quality opponents. But I think from a defensive standpoint, this is the best we've been playing.
Matt, Vince surpassed 1,000 points in this game. Just what has he meant to this team over the past 3 seasons?
Well, I just think his overall versatility, a guy that can play a couple different positions, guard a couple different people, and just do a lot, of little things. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He has good size. Just a skilled guy. But it's he came somewhere where he's needed. A lot of times in recruits, they miss that piece of it. You have to go, if you're talented and you're good enough to play right away, go where you're needed. Why wait? And we definitely needed him, and he's had a great career.
Matt, beyond Miles Bridges, but a guy like Nick Ward, when you watch him, how does he project? You've coached a lot of big guys
Right.
here, and when you look at his game, and I've seen him a couple times.
Well, I think he's great. We really recruited him hard. We put in a lot of time with him. We loved, just his hands and his ability to score around the basket. For him, it's, we wanted to double him as much as we could. He didn't play. He played 12 minutes in the game, I think. And so he didn't log them any minutes, but we wanted to double him as much as possible. But he's going to be a great player in our league and have a chance to be a professional. It's just a natural. You got to be able to do a lot of little things to be successful as a big. It's not just scoring the ball. And that's what we really try to stress with those guys. Your ball screen D's got to be good. Your post D's got to be good. You've got to change ends. Every time there's a rebounder, you got to hit and go get it. As soon as he just keeps building on that and doing that every single solitary time, he's going to be a load. He's going to be a guy that they have to double right away.
Matt, Biggie has so many talents that people talk about, but underrated is how unselfish he is
Right.
for a star. Would you talk about that? Because I think it's undervalued.
Yeah. Well, I think besides rebounding, it's his best attribute, his ability to pass. And I think that's really going to come out down the road. He's a very good passer from the high post. He's good out of the low post. When he keeps things simple and just takes what the defense gives him, they're kind of at his mercy right now. When he tries to squeeze through a couple people or force some things, that's where his turnovers start to accumulate. But no, he's a very, very unselfish guy. Very intelligent. He understands the game knows what's going on out there. Sometimes guys like that can really pass. Sometimes they see some things that aren't there too. So that's the the thing for him. But I thought tonight he was really simple and really unselfish.
You said this is the best you've been playing defensively. How did it show up specifically today?
Well, I think with it's not fair to them because I think they needed Nick Ward tonight and he wasn't on the court much, and that's not fair to them because that's hard to do. We've had that a lot early in Hammonds' career. We needed Hammonds in those games when he was a freshman, sophomore, and when he would bow out of those games, especially on the road, it was going to be really tough for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just wanted to stay with their shooters. I thought for them coming in here to beat us, they were going to have to beat us in the three-point line. We wanted to stay with those guys. That's why when they got a couple of them early, it was our breakdown. We didn't get on top of a down screen once. We let Alvin Ellis just pull the trigger in transition instead of taking up his space. Another one of Alvin Ellis's, our guys just kind of casual and lets him shoot it. So that was what we improved on as the game progressed, of just trying to take up their space and trying to get them out of rhythm shooting threes.
Following up on the defense, in this 5-game stretch, maybe Maryland be the only exception of a really good defensive performance. Does it mean anything that now this is kind of coming in succession and it's against different kinds of teams?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing for us, that you're getting different looks from different people, and then we're having some success on the defensive end. When we've got into some close games, we've been able to get a couple stops late, and that's huge for us. We don't, even though we have good size, we don't have rim protectors. And so when those guys are getting to that point, it's hard for us at times, but not any harder than it is for other people that that have the same issue as us. We just have to play good position defense and get them into some contested twos.
Are you seeing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brian, and then Greg.
Are you seeing something more from Isaac these last 2 games?
I think he's doing a better job of keeping it simple. He still had some turnovers in the game, and a couple of them were fouls. So I really don't put that on him. We go back and watch those and just see what happens. I think the thing for him that's important is for him to be objective. Every time something happens, he comes off the court and says he didn't do it. He didn't travel, he didn't foul, and then you go back and watch tape and you did travel and you did foul. So just trying to get him to be objective during the game. Like, tape doesn't lie. When you watch film, there it is, So at the end of the game there, they called the end of the first half, they called that foul, and he said he didn't touch the guy. So we'll go back and he probably did it, and we'll say it, But during the course of a game, he never owns things. And so trying to get him to understand, these possessions are important, and you got to be able to play, without doing those things. With all that being said, you look at his numbers. He gets 18 and 5 in 19 minutes, and this game gets hard for me more than anything because I like the matchup with Vince staying on Miles Bridges, and so I want them in the game together. But then who guards Miles Bridges? That was my problem. But I kept trying to get Isaac in there and get him more minutes. But when he's efficient, he's simple. His last turnover, he starts spinning, and they call it travel. And when he starts doing all that, he's not focusing, he's not thinking right. When he just keeps it simple and shoots his turnaround or drop step or a little hook, he's really effective. Yeah, Greg.
Matt, I don't think it's a figment of Chris Foreman's Twitter imagination. I think Big E is a National Player of the Year series candidate. Has anything about this season, the consistency of it, or wherever he is right now in the national? Are you surprised by any of this stuff?
There's a lot of guys out there that are really good players, and I'm not saying that Big E's the best player in the country, but he is playing the best. And that's what it's about. There's a lot of guys that can really play out there, but no one's putting up numbers like him, and no one's consistent like him. And I think you get punished a little bit when you're a big guy. I just do. Look at the other candidates that are against, and they're all good players, but it's like there are not a whole bunch of big guys out there. And so he's definitely the best big guy in the country and been the most productive, but he's been the most productive player. And I'm obviously biased, and we've played some good guys. Like Josh Hart. Josh Hart's great. Josh Hart gets the award, you definitely understand that. He's great, and he's fabulous. But when you look at numbers and production, it's been pretty special.
Matt, you don't have a tremendous amount of depth. I think you played 8 guys. I know you played 8 guys. But does that work to your advantage, maybe?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because you stick with those guys. They get anytime you're a player and you're able to play through your mistakes, it helps you. You might lose a game, like I wish I had another guy to go with, but it helps those guys, work through their mistakes and just keep playing. And we didn't have a great performance from everybody tonight, but they keep going back in the game and they keep playing, and you're able to kind of work through some of your shortcomings in a particular game.
Rich, last one. Matt, when you have first place this late in the season,
Yeah.
and you control whether you can win the Big Ten, do you begin to address that and make that an issue with your team?
No, I talked to them before, other day before the Wisconsin-Michigan game, and just said, hey, if we just take care of our business, everything will be fine. I said, there's no reason to talk about, a race or where you stand when your focus should be on the personnel of your next game. How are we gonna play the next game? A lot of times when you get in this situation, it's the distractions. Something happens, or, someone gets injured, some things happen that go against you that you can't control. Then you can't control those things. But the things that we can control, just keep your focus on Penn State. That's all we need to worry about. We don't need to worry about, things of that nature. They're not fools. They have a television. So overstating things and talking about it doesn't help in my opinion.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.